Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever lovely ladies are watching us from. This is Kusha from the Bespoke Designs by Kusha, and today I am here celebrating Mother's Day with my Mompreneur Spotlight series. So, this year I'm hosting a special Mompreneur Spotlight series where we're highlighting incredible women who are building businesses while raising families. And the idea is to interview inspiring moms who are coaches, entrepreneurs, and professionals sharing their stories, lessons, and wisdom from the journey of balancing motherhood and business. So let's get together to celebrate the strength, ambition, and brilliance of mothers who are building powerful businesses and creating legacies. And today I have the opportunity to invite another amazing guest on this Spotlight series. Her name is Shiwani Makker. Shiwani, thank you so much for taking time out to be a part of this series. I am so glad that you could finally make it. But before we dive into my set of questions that I have for you, why don't you go ahead and give a short introduction for our audiences?
Hi, I'm Shivani. I'm an emotional intelligence coach and I use emotional intelligence and neuroscience to help women to discover their own potential. So I've not just become a coach by chance, it was by struggles. I have actually lived those experiences and I realize, as my mentor said, don't keep it with you. Don't keep anything with your side. If you have any knowledge, serve it to others, help others to make them self-discover.
Thank you so much for your introduction. I do want you to jump in directly in sharing about your journey, both as a mother and an entrepreneur. So tell us a little more around that.
So I have 12 years of experience. I belong to Sirsa and I'm now settled in Chandigarh and I'm a founder of Absolute Life Change. So before this journey began in Absolute Life Change, I was working in PSU under Ministry of Power and where everything looked structured and stable from the outside. But internally, I could see people struggling. I worked in consulting and assignments from project execution to project delivery. I've handled that stress, pressure, the emotional burnout. And somewhere I realized we are trained for performance, but not for emotional mastery. And then came motherhood in my life for the second time, where I realized all the learnings I had, it's getting failed. Motherhood is not a curriculum. You learn by doing things. So I realized the learning I had it for my first child 9 years back is not being applied because the era is changing. People are changing. The technology is changing. So I realized, I was carrying emotions and I was at the age of 40. So I realized, like people are getting anxious. And I used to think, ऐसे कैसे हो सकते हैं लोग anxious, like burnout, overwhelmed. But after my first baby was born, I realized that even if I was into spirituality, it's actually the overall environment pressure also. And sometimes you're carrying the baggage. So that made me a divine signal to help others to see and discover their journey the way I did. I transformed myself. Then there was a birth of my third child, absolute life change. And here I am serving people with an intention so that they don't stay in anger, guilt, and they can empower themselves from the journey of self doubt to self worth.
Beautiful. I want to totally agree with you that there is so much anxiety. There are so many people out there who are anxious. I want to know first more about your journey, like you mentioned, of motherhood. And then I want you to share what has it taught you about leadership, because you've been in corporate, you became a mom, and after becoming a mom, you also started your own business. So there has been like a transformation, there has been a journey that you yourself went through. So can you share with, all the amazing moms who are listening to this, what has motherhood taught you in terms of, leadership or in terms of your business?
Motherhood has taught me to get emotional stable even if you are not. Even if you're losing your calm, you're losing your consistency. you're losing your power, you are having resilience. So motherhood gives you experience. And that's a stage sometimes because of hormones. So we cannot depend just on one thing. Everything has a pro and con. So the
Yeah.
social environment, which is a pillar of emotional intelligence, social awareness, self awareness, empathy. We're losing empathy these
Mm,
days. So we are not connecting. And people don't feel like talking to someone and sharing and apprehensive. They're good to
absolutely.
go with, searching their problems in technology, AI, what to do.
Yeah,
So they shall be listening ears. They need a shoulder to rely on. And that's the thing, we just need therapeutic discussions and conversation.
I love that.
And
Yeah.
that it was journey of 6 months. I have undergone some surgery, but before that, God made me ready. My spirituality during the pregnancy made me ready for that. I surrendered to God that I'm getting freedom from it. I used EFT, that's emotional freedom technique on that's tapping on your particular points. And I was just reading. I was not doing a course at that time. I was learning life coaching. And I'm thankful to Riddhi Dera for that, my mentor. And during that journey with motherhood, and learning life coaching led me to give a birth to absolute life change. And that's a divine signal. So, absolute life change is all about helping others, creating a safe space where you can transform your soul.
Right. So now again, let's come to your business, Absolute Life Change. Can you share with, the moms out here, what was the challenge when you were building your business?
So I started my business last year, and that was my healing time of my surgery. So I'm not just telling this to take sympathy or empathy. I'm just telling you to come out of your resilience and come out of your excuses, because you'll have number of excuses for that. And everybody has. But the more you make it consistent, if you'll try to show up no matter what the situation is, you will get to rise gradually. It will not come in a one day, it will not come in a 1 week. It will come gradually. So one thing at a time, one shot at a time, one goal at a time can make you achieve the goal. So I have written a book during my post surgery journey, and I didn't realize my healing. And after completing the book, I was still, having issues. But that was because while you were giving a target to something, even if no matter what the situation is, you're prioritizing one thing. You're prioritizing yourself. And I didn't want it, my daughter, my next generation, to lead with those things which I was carrying. So I had to take step ahead, and that's how absolute life change was made. I had challenges setting up systems for setting up things because I was not technology savvy. So seek help. Seek help from the technology, seek help from your environment, that you need to focus on this. The problem in women is we don't tell our family कि मुझे ये करना है. This is my goal for the month. We always feel apprehensive कि नहीं कर लेंगे. I'm managing family, I'm managing home, I'm managing myself, I'm managing the household chores. You need to have managed all the things. For that, you need to bring consistency, which I could see in Kusha while I met her in one of the events.
Okay, great. Thank you. Shivani, that is so true where you mentioned that being emotionally stable is something which you learned as a mom. And then coming to starting your business, where you just mentioned that staying focused, giving your goals priority, that is also something that a lot of women struggle with. So these are some key factors, which are required when you are taking care of two babies. One is your business and one is your child. So I think that all the women who are listening to this, they will sort of understand and agree that if they can work on these factors, if they can implement these factors, then there is no stopping, there is no looking back. They will be able to take, baby steps and keep moving ahead in growing their business. But I want to know from you that if there is someone who is yet to start a business out there listening to us, and what is that one advice you would like to give them?
So, for those women who are stuck emotionally or mentally or environmentally, I would really request them to come up, to show up, to discover themselves. And that's how, I work with especially working women. I have experienced that they are good at, office. They are good at work, but they are melting down at because the pressure over there is to complete the task one by one, the project deliverables, and that is relying on their promotions.
Yes.
So there they are getting rise, but at home they are failing and they are building that environment. So you should actually think while starting a business that that's your baby,
Mm,
a new baby. Nurture it like, you know, as you do it for an infant, then a toddler, and then a preteen to teen.
mm.
So will not directly get a baby, who is ready for everything.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
nurturing a baby. So as you nurture, and by this, you are actually teaching your child as well
Mm,
to get emotionally strong,
mm.
to strive emotionally. And they should know, even if they will fall, they should know how to rise. That's the most important thing.
Right. Wow. I think this is a very powerful one, Shivani, which you mentioned that children are also learning by what we are doing. And in fact, they are watching us every single day. And that's kind of like a role modeling that we are doing. If you had to create legacy for your children, what would that legacy look like?
That will be emotional regulation and emotional stability.
Yeah.
Being an emotional intelligence coach. So it's not because of that, because I've experienced it. People are stuck because of traumas, inner child healing. We didn't used to see these things. Here, nobody was aware of trauma kya hota hai, inner child healing kya hoti hai. And now you see it. And there are people who healed, who discovered out, after decades. And there are techniques and modalities for it. So I just want every woman to be self empowered and help. And even if, I want them to empower themselves so that they don't need anyone to help in future. So I don't want anybody to be stuck. They should learn how to rise, how to correct themselves.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that can create a legacy for children to come out of your resilience. They shall see that my mom is not just building a business, she is building a legacy, a generation along.
Beautiful. I agree with you totally on this. Having emotionally regulated children, having emotional stability, I think is crucial in terms of their future and in terms of the kind of relationships and the kind of way they will manage people, they will deal with people in their day to day lives. And we are almost coming to the end of the interview, but Shivani, I do want to know if you have a free gift for our audience, what would you like to share? And for those of you who are listening to this, we will be sharing the link for the free gift under this video so that you can access it.
So basically, you can attend my webinar in which I show where are you stuck, because your emotional patterns are making your brain patterns strong. So you are reacting, not responding to the situations. I'm offering everyone my free entry to my webinar on International Family Day on 15th. And if you want, you can connect me and DM on Absolute Life Change with the below link.
Yeah, sure. I'll make sure, I'm putting all those links with which you can reach out to Shivani and, know more about the details for the upcoming webinar. Shivani, just before we leave, I do have one last question, which is that what is it that you would like to challenge our audience? Any kind of an action that you want them to take?
That's a very good question, Kusha, because I just everybody to be stay strong. You may lose out, you're calm, but stay strong no matter what the situation is. So do a self audit every day. That's triple W. What went wrong? What went well today? So always do a self audit at the end of day by writing gratitude, and you will also affirm there are people who are not even getting these things.
Hmm.
So we shall be grateful. And you'll start writing these things, you will realize you are so grateful in compared to other people. So do a self audit. What went wrong? What went well today? And that will make your life easy.
I
Easy.
love it. Yeah, I love it. That is great. That's a beautiful challenge. And it's not very difficult if people would just sit at night before bedtime and, give themselves that couple of minutes to sort of think throughout the day, do that audit and, just list out a couple of points of what went
Just take,
well.
just take a I think 10 seconds,
Hmm.
and then you write it down in
Yeah.
2 minutes. And
Yeah.
within 3 months, I realized, and then I started learning neuroscience because emotional things were making the patterns in brain.
Yeah.
So if you are ready to change your emotion and brain, you can connect either of us.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's been amazing talking to you, Shivani. Thank you so much once again for taking time out. And for all the amazing people who are watching us and listening to this, thank you so much for, staying till the end. And that's all we have time for today, beautiful moms. This is Kusha signing off. Until next time, take care and have a lovely, lovely day. Bye bye.
Thank you, Kusha.